Hello and welcome back to Guides.Global. My name's John Howell and I'm the Editorial Director. With me today I have Jos van Os, who is a Dutchman, and he is based here in Marbella, where he runs a business called Tip Top Spain. Jos, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to do this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us, before we start talking about setting up the business here, a little bit about yourself. You're from Holland? Netherlands, I think we're supposed to say these days, aren't we?
We say Netherlands. Actually, yes. Holland is a part of Holland, but theoretically.
And what brought you to Spain in the first place?
Well, just being fed up with doing business in Holland. Let me put it this way: there's a lot of rules in Holland. It's cold. It's not easy to do business there. I did hospitality for 15 years. And especially in hospitality, you've got a lot of rules, very little freedom. And I think when you work here in Spain, you've got a little bit more freedom, a little bit more fun in what you do. You know, that's the reason to go to another country. The
ability to be more adventurous in the way you do your business.
Yeah, and have more freedom as well.
And when you came here, are you married, single, kids?
I came down here with a girlfriend.
Yep.
And a dog.
Yes.
The dog died.
But the girlfriend's still going strong.
Yeah.
When you first came here, was this the first time you'd been to Spain, or did you know Spain well before you decided to do business here?
No, I like to travel, so we traveled around Spain quite a lot before. So we
saw
some
the area well.
Yeah, but we saw some cities and we sort of figured out where to go. Yeah.
And your business is based here in Marbella.
In Marbella.
Tell us a little bit about Tip Top Spain.
Tip Top Spain, we install and make awnings, and we are specialized in the shade sails. Those are the triangular shades, yes. You might know.
These are the things you stretch between two buildings and make a covered space where you wouldn't otherwise have one.
Exactly, that's it, yeah. And we're specialized in that, so we do all kinds of fabric, you know, just whatever is best for the clients.
And I guess there's a big demand for that because we've got a great climate, seldom any rain, but often the need for some shade.
Yeah, and funny enough, 8 years ago, when we started this business, there weren't any around. We were the first one to start with that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and now you can see they're everywhere, obviously, but in those days we were one of the first ones to do it.
And so you've been here doing this business now for 8 years?
8 years, a little bit over 8 years.
Do you speak Spanish?
A little bit.
Enough to get by? Are you being modest? Or
I get around.
Yeah. So, talk about the business. 8 years ago you set it up. Can I ask how old you were when you did that?
I have to count, you know, because I always lie about my age. So let's say 35.
35, close enough for government work anyway.
Exactly.
And the business, has it remained basically unchanged since you set it up? Did you start off doing the shades and continue doing the shades, or have you developed it and moved into other areas?
No, we started with shade sales in Marbella, and then we saw the market was bigger, the area is bigger than that. Yeah. So now we do up till Cadiz.
Oh right, yeah. So big area.
Big area.
And how far in the other direction?
Not farther than Malaga, because after Malaga you get a different kind of clients.
Yes.
We're a bit upmarket, and that's most of my clients are in Marbella, Cadiz, and for example, Soto Grande is a good place to go.
Of course. Yeah. I think certainly if you want upmarket, then Marbella is where you want to be, really,
Absolutely.
Isn't it? And Soto Grande. You work yourself in the business?
Yep, and we've got subcontractors, they do the installations.
And so what work do you do? Are you physically out there erecting the sails, or are you doing the selling of the sails? What's your role?
I do the marketing, obviously. I sell them, I have contact with the clients, but when there's an installation, I'll be always present as well.
Yes.
You have to. It's different, like in, for example, the north of Europe, where you can have an installation company do the jobs, and you just ring them. And you can't do that here. You have to be there yourself.
Check up it's actually done.
Absolutely.
There are people turning up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And how many employees do you have in the business itself?
In summertime, we have got about 4 or 5 people working for us.
Yeah. And then you subcontract out the actual erection of the sails.
Yep.
Okay. How did you decide that this was the type of business you wanted to run?
Well, I don't really decide. You've got a plan, you've got an idea, and you just start with it, you know.
Good.
You have to believe in it, you know.
Yes.
If you don't believe in it, then...
But
that's
did you
no-
know about these sales before you came down here, or was it something you thought about whilst you were here?
No, I saw some nice ones in Mallorca, and I found out they were produced in Austria. And I thought, okay, that might be a nice thing to sell and to install here in Spain.
And do you have premises here in Spain, or do you run the business from home, or how does this work?
No. Well, obviously nowadays, you know, the mobile phone is
makes
quite
it easy,
flexible,
doesn't it?
so that's
Yeah.
that's good, you know. So you run your business mostly from the car, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we've got a workshop in
Okay.
the industrial area, so
Yes.
yeah.
And are you importing these things ready-made, or do you make them yourselves here?
Depends on what we're talking. It depends on every client.
Okay.
Most of the time, we import them from Germany, Australia, Austria,
Not from
or
China.
Holland. From?
Not from China.
No, that's different kind of.
Everything seems to come from China these days.
No, for those sales you have to be with my competition. They have
Okay.
them.
Okay, very good. When you came to look for your workshop here, how did you find that? Did you use an estate agent, or did you just have friends who could tell you that there was some property available? How did that work?
Well, what I did, I sold all of my business in Holland,
Yes.
so I had some spare time, you know, to be on the beach,
Yes.
to think about
Yep.
things. What I did to figure out how things worked here on the coast, I started working for another company for a couple of months. In those days, that was a big real estate company here in Marbella. And I did it for 3 or 4 months, and I sort of figured out how things worked here.
Yeah.
And then you can start buying property and sell.
And it is very different how things work here, isn't
Absolutely.
it, from Northern Europe? You really have to understand that, because
Yeah.
if you start doing business thinking, well, it'll be pretty much the same as at home, it isn't going to work.
No, and that's the big mistake what you do every time. You reflect how it is in North Europe.
Yes.
You reflect that on the situation here, and then you start thinking, you know, they do it wrong. No, they don't do it wrong. They do it differently.
Differently, exactly. And sometimes better than we do.
I think so. Yeah.
It's just we're not used to it, and therefore
Yeah.
it surprises us.
I'm not allowed to say that at home, but sometimes things here are actually better than up in the north.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
I think that's an important
just the
message
weather.
to get across to people.
Yeah.
So when you did set the business up, did you get professional help like lawyers and accountants to do that
No,
with you? Just did it all on your own?
I'm used to do it myself.
And do you think that was a brave thing to do, or looking back on it, would it have been easier with some professional help?
It was a very stupid thing to do, but that's the only thing to learn, you know. You
Yes.
can ask lawyers to organize things for you, but then
Yes.
you will never learn it.
Yes.
You will never learn the language either. You know?
Yes.
You have to queue up in line and figure out how things work and do it yourself, you know.
Yes.
Change license plates on the car,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
those
yeah.
things. That's the way how you
yes,
learn.
the ayuntamiento
Yeah.
and so on. Yes.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
What was the most difficult thing about setting up the business?
Nothing really. Being patient, I guess, you know.
Being patient.
Yeah. It takes
How long,
time.
how long did it all take from the time you said, I'm going to set up this business, I've got this great idea? How long did it take until you had your workshop and you were ready to start?
Well, this was about 1 year, 1.5 years.
That was a long
Yeah.
time.
This was 2007, so
Yeah.
it was a very different time
A
in
different
those
time,
days. Yeah.
economic crisis and,
Yeah.
and everything else.
Yeah.
Not still, 1.5 years is a long time to be putting all that together, isn't it?
Yeah, but it takes time here in Spain before people know you and you
course.
can, you know,
Of course.
organize things. If you just go up and say you have got money, can you give me it doesn't work like this, you know. It takes time. People want
build
to
confidence.
Yeah, the people want to cuddle you a little bit, and that's how it goes here in Spain. Huh? Yeah.
Yes. And if you were starting it today, knowing what you now know, what would you do differently from the way you started it when you first came?
I wouldn't do it with my partner.
Right. Okay.
It's not about the partner; she was fine.
Yeah.
But just I think it's better to go both different ways and learn from each
Yeah.
other. You know, I
Yeah.
think that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for one. For the rest, not that much. Obviously, everything is fine really. So yeah.
So if you're going to come here with your partner, probably don't get involved in the same business as her.
No, it's better to go different ways.
Two different
you know?
ways. Yeah.
I think that's
Halves the risk apart from anything else.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but it's more like you know, at the end of the evening, you know, you got something to tell
Yeah,
each other.
something else to talk
Yeah.
about. Yeah. If someone was coming here today to set up a business like yours, what do you think it would cost them? How much money would they have to have in the bank before they could really think, yeah, I'm going to go to Spain and set up some sort of similar business?
Yeah, you need some money. You have to realize that it takes time before the company starts to run.
Yeah.
You can't do it in a couple of months. So at least you need the money to pay your rent and your cars and your costs and your food for, I think, for at least a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We always say that definitely not less than 6 months, but a year is better.
Yeah. Even setting up a business, getting me numbers here, the fiscal numbers and all that takes already 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're going to need quite a lot of money before they can actually come here, and to try and do it with €1,000 in the bank is probably not going to end well.
No, we'll get you a couple of beers, obviously. But
Yes. Yeah.
that's exactly where it's going to end as well. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
What sort of hours do you work in the business? Is this a business which keeps you busy for 60, 70 hours a week, or is it something that gives you a bit of time to do other stuff?
In the summertime, I work 6 days a week.
Yeah.
To be honest, and sometimes Sunday morning as well,
Yeah.
a couple of hours.
And how many hours a day?
That's 9 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, it's working here in this environment.
Yeah.
So it's not behind a greasy machine, you know.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't look like work. It
Yes,
is work. You have
yes,
to do it.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, we're working now.
We're working now. Yeah.
Terrible life.
Yeah. No more beer, thank you. In the wintertime, you've got much more time, you know. In December, I hardly ever work, you know. I travel a lot, and so the life is better.
So you still feel you've got a decent work-life balance?
Absolutely, much better than in Holland. Yeah.
And what has been the most difficult part of running the business? Not setting it up, but actually once you've got it going, what's been the most difficult part of running it?
I think just accepting that things go wrong in Spain all the time, you know. Where I want to promise my clients a delivery date, for example, you cannot do that in Spain because the company that brings you the stuff, they don't do it in time. So it's difficult to accept that.
Yes.
But that's Spain.
And what's been the thing that's given you the most pleasure?
Well, every day really.
Every day?
Yes.
Just
Every day when you go to the clients, there's a new story. It's not just work, it's also the people behind. When you go to clients, every client got a different story, you know. Last year I had one day, I went to the palace, to the princess, and to the nudist resort. You know, that was on the same day, and then you hear different stories that day.
Yes, you would, yes.
Yeah, it's not just the awnings, it's just not the same, it's also the people.
Meeting lots of people.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And who are your clients? Are they mainly expats, or do you have Spanish clients as well?
I've got little Spanish clients. They don't understand the quality we deliver normally.
Yeah.
We've got some in the center of Malaga at the moment, but mainly expats and people with a second home here.
And which nationalities?
All kinds.
All
yeah.
kinds.
Yeah.
Russians, British, German, Scandinavian, Dutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. How important have you found it to be able to speak Spanish?
It is important. When you need little things, you have to go to the industrial area and get it sorted. You know, it's not just a language, it's also knowing the purpose. They need to trust you.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's nothing.
Yes. And it doesn't help if you don't speak their language.
No, exactly. Yeah.
They
will not speak English or very little.
And it's also, of course, understanding the culture. It's not just knowing, being able to order the piece when you go to the store. It's knowing which store you have to go to.
It's also important to just make a joke with the guys, take some time, you know, have a coffee with them, you know, go out with a beer, you know.
Yes.
That sounds silly in our countries, but it's normal here.
Yes,
so you have to accept that and do that, you know. Not every day, because then you cannot get your work
No,
done.
you can't stand up.
Yeah. But now and then you have the moments where you know, that's how it goes. That's.
How have you found employing people here? Has it been easy to find the right people? Has it been easy to get rid of them if they're not doing a proper job?
Well, for me, getting rid of them is quite easy because it's all subcontracted,
Yeah.
so that's no worry about that.
Yeah.
Getting good quality people is a problem here.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of people, they say they can do a certain kind of job and they are easy to get, but they're not good enough. The quality people, that's difficult because everybody wants them.
Are the people that you're employing mainly Spanish, or are they also a combination of Spanish and expats?
North European people.
North European,
yeah.
almost.
And some South Americans.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What about taxes? Do you think that the level of taxation here is fair and reasonable?
Very reasonable.
Yeah. You don't. Some people come here and they can complain and complain and complain, and other people say, well, actually, paying tax is an optional extra. If you organise your business properly, you pay hardly anything at all.
No, very little. Yeah. You pay very little taxes here.
sticking with the question of money, financial reward, difficult to talk about money, but do you think that you've made a success out of your business and you've been well rewarded for it?
Can't complain it, yeah.
Great. Administration. The interaction with the administration here is something people always talk about. They say, oh, the Spanish town hall, the Spanish tax office, impossible to deal with. How have you found dealing with
Well, it got much better. It's got much better, you know. You've got certain forms you can get on the internet nowadays. There's no big queues anymore in the town hall.
Yes,
so
you used to have to go and spend 2 hours queuing at the town hall to get a form.
Yeah, exactly. Those days are over, you know.
Yeah.
I went for the MOT for my motor today, and I did it in half an hour. That's very quick. So I think those days are a little bit over. Even Spain understood that you know, internet is a good medium to do that. And yeah.
So, putting it all together, what would you say is the best thing about doing business in Spain?
It's the quality of life. It's the quality of life. You might have to work a little bit harder, a little bit more hours, but you know, at the end of the day, when you sit down for a cup of coffee, you sit down here, you know.
In the sunshine.
In the sunshine.
In January.
Little rules, little pressure, you know. I mean, I think you live longer.
Yes, yes. And the worst thing?
Don't know really.
So nothing so bad you think it's worst?
But I'm an optimist.
Well, you have to be an optimist in life, don't you?
Yeah.
Jos, thank you very much indeed. Very interesting. If you'd like to find out more about this, do read our Guides.Global guide to doing business in Spain. Also, you may be interested in our tax guides and our business problems guides. All of them available on our website, and there's a link in the information box below. If you'd like this, please like us. If you want to follow us, please follow us. Whether you do that or not, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.